So what did you see? Does anybody know any basketball here? What did you notice?
Pushing the pace a little bit?
Not bad. Not bad. What else?
Good work in the two-man game, rolls and getting to the basket.
Trying to teach them random how to play with another player or two.
There were a lot of guys out there.
There were a lot of guys out there. And last year we practiced with like 4 and 5 at times. So it's nice that they can go at each other. What else? Yeah. Yeah. And that was an hour practice, folks. That was 1 hour. We started at 2, we ended at 3. I had to remind them too. Like that was an hour. That wasn't 3 hours. That was an hour. But what we've been doing is conditioning, and it's without a basketball, and then we go and do what we just did. And we do that 3 days a week, and that leaves them time for individual work. So I like where we are. It's July 7th. I'm not trying to have us be mid-season, but you can see they're somewhat organized. To be organized in July when, again, we do have 4 returners, but everybody else is new, that I feel pretty good about it.
You kind of mentioned it right there, but the 4 returners, SEC experience, and Pringle, I mean, do you have to maybe change what you normally do in the summer because are you further along than maybe you might normally be?
What I did, again, like I don't have, this system where you plug guys in. And the reason I don't is because if I'm really about the kids, then I can't tell you exactly how we're going to play. But it's real, what we do, and it's undeniable what it does, and we're just getting started here, but it'll grow. And it's how are we playing? First one was I want to get them in better shape this year. And so we've done some of my old school conditioning. And it was funny, DJ said to his dad, Coach said he's doing old school. What would that mean, Dad? And Wani said, you better hope he's not doing 2020s. I hate it when we're doing 2020s. And so the conditioning was more mental. To get through the conditioning, you can do it, but it mentally breaks you down. And then the second thing I wanted to do is we got to bring this group together. Last year, we were always together, but as the injuries started peeling off guys and we only had 5, they understood how much they needed each other. We're still not there. There are times guys over dribble or pass up an open man and try to shoot it themselves. That's fine. But the way this is, you probably need to play more people. You got to be in the greatest shape. If I'm doing them a service, it's the habits that you leave here with are going to help you on and off the court, but they're going to help you when you're moving. You go to the next level, you're having those kind of habits. So, but it's real. Like, some of it we're going to do. It's you could argue the point, but the reality of it is these kids, you're seeing them get better. I just want them to understand you're improving. Now, that should excite you, and that should give you more enthusiasm. My job is to figure out, okay, they all got better. Now, how exactly are we going to have to play, which I don't know yet.
Can you maybe dive into how have Billy and Carter specifically taken steps forward this offseason, and maybe what are you still looking for them?
Both of them, you could see they're more confident, and there's less anxiety. Anxiety wipes you out, physically wipes you out, mentally wipes you out when you don't know and you're trying to guess. And then the term you always use is, I'm confused. No, you're learning. You're learning. You're not confused. You're learning. And so those two now have an idea of what we're trying to do. Like today, I mean, they're doing some things like you heard me tell Billy, if you could make that shot, how are they going to guard you? So get in this gym. Get more shots up. TB is, I don't know, I wasn't focused on him today, but he has played so well. He's not even the same guy. How about he smiles? Like, I'm just happy to see him smile. like, dude, it went 3/4 of a season. He never smiled. I didn't even, now, you could tell he's happy. DJ's way better as a player. And he was good last year. Think about where he led us. He was good. Way better. Missed some shots. He'd been making shots. He missed a couple today. But, no, it's, again, you talk about what are the pillars you live by. And when I talk about players first, it's about let's develop them. Let's get them to understand that you're learning to be a great teammate. I can tell you some of my guys that go on and kept playing, and I'm talking from Marcus Camby was a great teammate. Some of you guys weren't even born yet. Derrick Rose was a great teammate. And we've had others. They're talking about Jay Will came in the office yesterday, and I said, what a great teammate Shea is, huh? He goes, Coach. I think he said dope. I don't know what that means, but he said it. But that's what you're trying to teach. The pillars of this, you're going to be a great teammate, you're going to have great habits, and you're going to understand how the game is being played. You're not running plays. You're not in a system that only does this. Well, guess what? You got really good at the system. This thing, I'm trying to make sure that, everybody here is growing as a player, as a teammate, and understanding winning matters. You want to help each other win. The more you win, the more you're going to help each other, and they will benefit.
The backcourt, a lot of youth, Acuff, Malik Thomas, obviously Sealy. Are they how far along are they right now, or how would you, frame where they are progress-wise and getting up to speed with this level?
I would tell you 10 days ago, we got a ways to go with some of the guys. DJ is steady Eddie, and he comes every day. But what you saw in Darius today, to get shots, to create for his teammates, got to defend better, got to play at a higher pace all the time. Malik, you saw one of his shots that were like, I'm stopping every time he tries to take one because he goes about 1 for 5, and I said, we can't win with that. The other shots he makes, so just take those. But they like to do their thing. So we're teaching. Isaiah doesn't play until he catches. So he's behind the action instead of I'm seeing, and when I catch it, I read what's there in front of me. He catches and then tries to read, which is too late. But that's typical of someone his age. But there are things that Isaiah Sealy does that I can't teach. And he's going to be good. He's just going to catch up some of the other stuff.
Quick follow-up on TV. You said after the season he was playing as well as any front court player in the country, and then today he was flashing some defense and offense. Where is he at right now in terms of, do you think he's playing the best ball of his career?
You'd have to ask him.
Moving forward?
I tell you, he's playing the best ball since I've coached him, but I don't know prior to. But I would tell you that if he's the guy I'm seeing, you're talking about someone that we have 1 or 2 like that. We have 2 like that, then this thing is on. And so he's that good. Now you got to find out who are the other couple that can make differences in the game and elevate themselves and just go get a basket. I mean, there were games last year, all we had to do was get a basket. We didn't have those kind of guys. This team has a bunch of guys that can just go get one to stem the tide. You get up, all of a sudden they're making, all you need to do is make 2 baskets. You missed everyone, and then you missed free throws. I mean, this team, you have guys that want to be that guy. And a couple of them are returning players.
Coach, why are we here today? Well, what was the backstory about this? And then at the end, the players came around, made eye contact with all of us. Just kind of what were your thoughts on all of that?
Well, so I'm getting ready to go on the road. And what I enjoy is what I did today. And I said, you know what, why don't would the media like to see it? And they went, oh, geez. And I said, well, then we'll invite them in. Let them watch practice. Have you ever seen a practice? That's only an hour. That's not a whole practice. But have you been in? So if you haven't, that's basically for 2 hours and a little bit. That's what we have. A lot of it would be defense. I just sprinkled in a little bit of defense, but who wants to play defense in July? So that's why you stay away from it. But I wanted you guys to see it. See what this is. And instead of talking about it, here's what it is. Here's where we are right now. You get to see it. You may like it, you may not like it. I'm not embarrassed of my team. How do you think they respond to coaching? I mean, you sat there and I wasn't nice the whole time. I don't swear and cuss and kick balls or anything, but I mean, hey, pay attention. And they respond. They're a bunch of good guys. I'm going to say it again. What happened and how were we able to do? Because, everybody says, Coach, I said, well, how were you feeling when we were 0-5? Oh, I knew you guys. You knew. I didn't know. How'd you know? And the biggest reason, we had a bunch of good guys that never gave up on each other, didn't give up on themselves. I had a staff that we didn't make excuses and try to say, let's go get better guys. This is who we have. How about when our 2 leading scorers went down? Oh, you knew we'd be in the Sweet 16 playing for a Final Four berth, right? But how did it happen? Well, the guys behind them stepped up. You know why? They were good guys. Instead of blaming, well, he doesn't like me, he likes him more, or listening to the garbage, they stayed true to each other. And all of a sudden, by the end of the year, we're better than 90% of the team, 95% of the teams in the country playing 6 guys. But we had good guys. Would you look at this team and say, he had a bunch of good guys? That means there's hope. You could do something crazy. Because you know what the season is? And again, I've done this a long time. It's very rarely do you go like that. You have some downs and ups and things happen and things out of your control happen, and how are they going to deal? We have good guys. And that's, for me, I hope you walk away saying that, yeah, they're good players, but man, they're coachable. They're listening. They're talking to one another. They're playing. You could tell they like each other. But yeah, we did it for that reason. And then I said, how many are coming? He said, 25. I go, we don't have 25 media members. What are we talking about? And they're like, yeah, we do. They're all here. So, maybe when we come back in September, maybe we'll do something again this way to let you guys come in and see, where they are at that point. But the conditioning part of the summer is done. I kind of beat them up a little bit. Now it's more basketball and what we're doing.
Tom, you touched on this briefly, but from 1 July to the next, the health of your team, your health, your mental health about where this team is. Can you speak to maybe in 1 year the difference?
Well, last year, you know how it started. We had no team. I had no staff. I said, can I see the schedule? There was no schedule. I'm like, what? And now you bring guys together that did not know each other, and I had a couple from before, but the reality of it is it was a brand new team. Then we get hurt, so I didn't get to do the scrimmaging, and I knew we'd be behind. But at the end of the year, that was the most rewarding year I can remember in a long time, because they stayed true and they stayed strong, and we just kept tweaking and changing to try to make us good. Right now, you can tell I'm more comfortable. I had to walk in here. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the campus. You guys understand, I never was on this campus. We went from the Graduate down the back way, and I'm thinking, this is awful, to that building, and most times it was dark. We came in late, and maybe in the afternoon we'd come down, but we went the back way. And I saw, the Clinton House. Look, they got that thing in front. I mean, so I didn't even know what the campus was. I didn't know anybody, all that stuff. So that playing all, I'm just more comfortable. And let me tell you, I am so happy and comfortable and at peace with what we're doing and how we're doing it, because we're about the kids. It ain't about this, that. It's about those kids. Now, if we do our job, they're going to lead us to where we're trying to go. And I say it again, it's real, what we're doing. And you can't deny what is, you can say that, and then it is starting, and it's going to go for a long time. And I've done this before. The first year is a hard one. The first year is a tough one. Second year is tough too. But at least you're more grounded in what you're trying to do, and you feel more comfortable.
You spoke briefly about Carter already, but is there anything about going through the NBA draft process that you've seen that's helped him to this point of the summer? How have you seen him progress since
Early on, he kind of felt like, well, I did this, and he was behind in conditioning. Oh, and I let him know. Like, you told me you were doing all that. You're behind everybody else conditioning. Well, he caught up. And the thing about him, you know he's going to work. Like, they live in the gym. We got guys, last year we had 2 or 3. That was it. Now you have 6 or 7 that literally are always in that gym. If I come up, they're either in the training room or they're in the gym, or they went from the gym to the training room. And he's like, he leads the pack. He's not afraid to get in the gym and work. We just, guys like him and Malik Thomas, they got to get more consistent, which means you got to live in the gym. You got to spend more time. And if they're more consistent, a lot of it is decision-making, shot-making. You know, you were wide open, you missed badly, you shot an air ball. You can't be that guy. You're too good a player. So with him, I'm not worried because he works.
And you and Penny Hardaway have talked about having an exhibition. I know you want it to be St. Jude's and all your guys got honored. Is there any update to that, and are there any other scheduling updates to this point?
I had called Arthur Smith, Fred Smith's son, who's the offensive coordinator with the Steelers, and just told him, I mean, we'd like to do this and name it the Fred Smith Classic. And he was like, you know, we'd be honored. The money would go to St. Jude. But what I said is, if you want me to bring my team there, I want you to honor the guys that were here when I coached. And they all said, fine. But they came to me to want to do it. And I just said, you know, St. Jude, and, you know, still love the place. We had a great time. It was 9 years of my life there. But the best thing is there, and again, I was there 9 years. So how many players do you think I coached in 9 years? What do you think the number is? 9 years. It's only 50. It's only 50. You would think it's only 50 because guys stayed 3 and 4 years. So you didn't have 9 times 10 and 9 times, you know, it was 50. So hopefully a bunch of them will come back and we can have, you know, a dinner together or do something, because that was a terrific run where the whole place, the whole city came together and everybody was on the same page. And it was amazing because it couldn't have been done unless everybody came together. And Mr. Smith was one of them. My first meeting, 12-minute meeting, he met me in his office. And he said, Coach, congratulations. I'm going to support you. You tell me what I need to do. I said, Mr. Smith, can you help me with summer jobs? Back then, it wasn't NIL. I want to do this through summer jobs. And he looked at his CEO and CFO and said, don't we have internships? Yeah, give them 12. And he said, anything else? No, that'd be great. Okay, Coach, good luck. It was an 11-minute meeting, one of the most important I had there. But other people, there were so many people, Billy Donovan and Willard Sparks, and I shouldn't start naming names, that all stepped up and said, we need this to be good. And it was. But it was good because I had terrific players who cared about one another and still do.
Coach, you brought in a couple of big guys from the portal, Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle. I'm curious how they fit in and what have you seen from them and what do they bring to the table?
Well, you know what, with Nick, I forgot how good a defender he was on the ball, pick and rolls, because I watched some tape of our game when they smashed us, and he was switching out on our guards, and they couldn't get by him. So, and Malik Ewing is, 4-5 skilled, good passer. You can play through him, kind of like Trey Mitchell that I had. You can play through him. He can shoot balls. He can make passes. He's, got to get in better shape. Got to have played a faster pace at times, but he's going to learn that. He will. They're both good.
In the past, you've spoken in favor of maybe playing like some exhibition games like during the summer and everything. I'm curious, you probably would have had a different answer last year with all the injuries, but is that something you'd still like to see?
Yeah, I think that college basketball has got to compete in the July area. Like there's got to be games. Even the first weeks of August, there's got to be exhibition games in the summer games. And we're getting swallowed by everything else, and it can't just be the tournament. And in the summer, in July is a space where we could take over. Right now, you have the NBA Summer League. Well, why don't we have something? So I've been saying that for a number of years. I also said there shouldn't be a 1 in 4 years go on a foreign trip. If you want to go every year, go. And then let those games be televised. If you don't want to go, don't go. Everybody should have 10 practice days in the summer as though you're making a foreign trip. And if you don't want to, play some games against people you want to play against. They can be scrimmages or they can be open. Why wouldn't we do that? Do you think our kids just like to do this, or would they like to play against somebody? What you just saw, do you think they'd rather do that or let's play? They want to play. That's what they want to do. We always talk about, we're about the kids, but they're going to do what we want. So I've been asking for that for 5 years. I've also said we should have a preseason conference tournament. Do something prior to, and everybody gets 3 games. Play your way out and do it in November, December. Start the season with it. And then when the season ends, it ends. Regular season champ, you're the but no one listens to me, so don't even.
Quick, Coach, just building off of Anthony's question. You mentioned a few weeks ago at the camp, you were trying to beef up the schedule as much as you could. Every time we turn around, you're taking on another team who was in the Elite Eight last year. Is that intentionally get the strength of schedule up, or you just want this team to be as seasoned as possible?
Our strength of schedule wasn't bad last year, but you schedule to your team. Like, you don't schedule because you just want to schedule. You got to look and say, okay, where are we? Is this too much for these guys? Are we being fair? So, this schedule is good. We're talking about every team in the Elite Eight we're playing. We're also looking at some of the what they'd call bye games against teams that were in the NCAA tournament a year ago. In the league, see, last year, the top 7 teams had 90% or more of their team back. That's why they were the top 7. We were the youngest team in the league. With Georgia was right above us, but we were the youngest. And everybody else filtered down. This year, we have the most returning. It's only 45%, but it's still the most in our league. And everybody's lost most of their team, and they're having to do what we did a year ago. And so then you got to be ready for, and I told all you, everybody in the league last year was going to have a 4-game swing, a 3-game swing. Who could stay together when you had that? Ours was 5 early. We were 0-5. And truth be told, I had to ask the question, what's the most losses ever in the SEC? 18. Team was 0-18. I said, shit. And then they told me, and they lost their first tournament game, so it was 0-19. And then when we won the Georgia game, we had a party. I said, worst we're going to be is 1-18. We ain't going to be 0-19. And but that, again, you imagine what that team did, how they came together, and they had every reason to let go of the rope. Every reason. Tells you what kind of people they were, what kind of kids they were. And would you say they played hard when you watched them? Everybody, that's the biggest comment, how hard they play. Well, you saw them today. If you're going to practice that way, you'll play that way. You think all of a sudden, yeah, I'll play hard in a game. Well, first of all, if you're with me and that's what you look like in practice, I ain't playing you. No, you ain't getting in. But you play that way because you practice that way and you compete against each other. We had to do it against GAs last year, and it worked, but barely.
Yeah, Coach, you've talked about you want 8 or 9 guys with the 10th who knows he's the 10th guy. So far this summer, have you kind of gotten an idea of a couple guys that might step up into those roles and kind of how that end of the rotation would play out?
All right, so let me clarify what he was saying. I came here saying I want 8 or 9 guys because of NIL. I can't pay 12. Okay. Second thing, why else did I only want 8 or 9? So I'm coaching these last 3 for the next guy? No, you coach them yourself. I'm not coaching them. And then all of a sudden, all my friends said, you're going to have an injury and you're going to be stuck. And they were right. So we had injuries. We were down to 5 guys, and I'm thinking, did I do the right thing? We're at 10 right now with 11, and we got a couple more that my thought was maybe we need 3 or 4 coming back because of rev share, that we got to have 3 or 4 that are already in the program coming back, because how many are you going to really be able to sign? So I've kind of like, this is so new that now I'm like, let's have 8 or 9, 8 or 7 that we know, but you have other players in, we're developing. I'm going to go see a player this weekend that I may take with the idea that he's going to be here a few years. So I may do that. And normally I'm like, if you want to be in school 4 years, there's plenty of places to go. I'm just not one of them. And I remember telling Tyler Eulis, if you think you're going to be a 4-year point guard, don't come here. And he said, where do I sign? He just wanted someone to believe in him, that because he was 5'8" and 140 pounds. And in the second year, he's drafted in the NBA and had a heck of a run at the lightest player I think ever drafted. So when you say that, yes, I started that way. Now I'm thinking I need to stretch this out a little bit. We probably need more guys. I don't think you need 15. Too many. I have enough trouble remembering names when I got 10. So.
I guess speaking on the strategical financial side, there's GMs coming into college sports now. Have you had any contact or any prior relationship with Arkansas's new GM, Cofield?
You know what? I think, again, in football and maybe other sports, but I'm dealing with 12 guys. And there's 2 things. You're saying dealing with agents. Well, I know all these agents. I was in the NBA for a while. I know them. My staff knows them. Who's going to evaluate the player? Me. So now I'm like, yes, can you get us deals? Can you get NIL deals? Can you turn us on to that kind of stuff? Absolutely, I want them involved in those things. But to evaluate players or to what's a kid value to this team? I got to do that. Well, you pay too much. Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Why didn't you pay him more? Because I didn't think he was that. What's going to happen now, though, is for anybody to know where this is going, they're lying. For anybody to tell a family, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this too, and this, they're lying. Because none of us know. We're trying to figure out how is this going to work. The only issue I have, we got a commitment from a freshman. This is going to hurt freshmen players in the United States because everybody's going to wait. If you don't have as much money, are you going to put it in a freshman that you don't know? You're just not. So now you're going to give it to a transfer, which means you're probably tampering to get people to transfer. Now, I'm still going about the business of I want freshmen with returning players and maybe a transfer or two, maybe. But that might change. I may get into it and say, you know what, I don't like it. But if anybody tells you they know where this all is going, they're crazy. I had a mother say, you know, I'm just confused by this. And I said, and I don't understand it. Well, if you ever do understand it, you call me back and tell me so I understand it. So where we are, you know what I'm worried about? This year's team. I'm trying to think ahead of what we should do, and I'll play some mental games at times. I call them war games. What if this, what if that? Reality that I'm in a total guessing game like everybody else.
Yeah, Coach. Nick said when you were recruiting him out of the portal, you said you were going to put him in uncomfortable situations. I was wondering what that means exactly, and maybe not only with him, but like how do you do that with other players?
I'm making Malik dribble less, Malik Thomas, and still score, but you're not going to dribble as much. He's very uncomfortable. He's wide open and doesn't want to shoot it. He wants to come here and then shoot it. Why didn't you shoot the first one? He's very uncomfortable. Nick, uncomfortable offensively going at the basket. So how do I make him comfortable? I want you to shoot it and don't care if you make it, but you got to tip dunk your miss. So go ahead and shoot it. I don't care. Throw it off the backboard. But how about you're going to get in the greatest shape of your life? I'm asking you to shoot jump shots. Some of them were air balls. Keep shooting. You make them uncomfortable. Darius, the same. Making him see more of the court versus score. Because he can score, but you saw him today throwing ball. He can pass. You talk about Malik Ewan, you know where I'm saying he decelerates. We throw him the ball and he slows down. You got to accelerate. Well, he's not comfortable doing it. Getting in the greatest shape of their life. They think they are until you really run. So everything I'm doing is if they come at me and say, I'm confused, you're learning. Have I made you uncomfortable? If not, I'm not doing my job. Their job is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Then they got it.
I ask you about Malik Thomas a little more. You had mentioned that you have goals for him and stuff that you want him to work on. Obviously, one goal is you don't want him to be here 4 years. But I was also curious what you see as his upside, and is there somebody that you could compare him to? You've compared some other players to some other guys. Is there anybody he reminds you of?
He's different. He's a basket getter, but he is used to having the ball and then getting a basket, where we're going to create opportunities for him to run downhill, to shoot floaters, come off a screen, pull up, in transition, shoot. You're not going to bounce it 50 times. And if you do, he likes to bounce, going this way, step through, do this, and he'll throw one like that. It better go in. Now go ahead, you can do it, but if it don't go in, you're coming out. You're not playing that way. Here's what I try to tell the kids. It's not what you want to show, it's what they want to see. And you're way off. They don't want to see that. This is what they want to see. Yeah, but my game is they don't want to see that. They want to see this. It's easier, but I'll tell you what makes it harder. You're so wide open, when you miss it, you're kind of embarrassed. So I'll shoot the hardest shot I can shoot, and I'll make it 1 out of 5. But that one I make it, man, they go crazy. I mean, but I've done this so long, I've seen it 100 times. But he is a bucket getter, and I'll tell you what else he is. He's a gym rat, and he lives in the gym. So he's going to be fine. I just got to kind of point him in the right direction and let him go figure it out.
How valuable is having, bringing Darius Acuff in and also having DJ Wagner come back? I mean,
Have Billy. How about Billy? I mean, you got guys. I could have 3 point guards out there at the same time. But we also can play through our bigs. I mean, that's, you think about TB where he is, and us playing through him and let him do stuff. Today he got banged a little bit, missed some layups that he's been making, but my biggest thing for him, his skills are better, and mentally he's in a good space. Like, you got to be at peace and you got to be happy with yourself. And I think he knows that I believe in him and we believe in him, but we can't do it for him. And don't get off track. Don't get intoxicated, because that's when you do the stupid stuff. And now all of a sudden you turn around, you're back in that hole, and your eyes are like that. So for him, be who you are. Our guard play, yeah. But our big, we can play through bigs. I love playing through bigs. It's hard to take that away. When you play through guards, they can trap, they can do stuff. When you're playing through a big who can play, he creates great opportunities for his teammates. Plus, you can play out on the floor now. You can play with a wide open lane.
Coach, you mentioned how last year you had no team and you had to put a whole roster together. Now you've got a couple of returners and a bunch of new guys out of the portal and some freshmen. How big of a difference has it been trying to mesh a whole roster last year versus trying to mesh the newcomers this year?
I mean, there was so much anxiety from everywhere, you know, and now I think they're just a lot more comfortable. And having the 4 guys back, I mean, you know, it's huge for us. But I'm going to tell you this, huge for them too. So now let's see where this plays. And I come back to, you know, everybody, well, they were this and that. If a dude doesn't get hurt, okay, he was a 3-star in high school. So this is about, are we putting them in a good position with their habits, with them being a great teammate, with their skill to go do the things and have long careers. You can argue it, you can deny it, you can do what you want. It is what happens. We're just getting started here, but it's going to grow. I don't think it'll be any different than it's been at UMass, at Memphis, at Kentucky, or here. It'll be the same.
I'm sure you've been asked about this before, but it seems like there's going to be a vote this week about NCAA tournament expansion. Just wanted to get your take and, yeah, just your thoughts.
Don't screw it up. Usually don't screw it up. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. What we got to get in check is the transfer rules. I think kids should be able to transfer. I don't have any issue with that. Once, without penalty. Whatever happened, the coach said something, he lied to you, good, leave. You don't have to. You picked the wrong school. He picked the wrong guy, leave. If the coach leaves and goes to another school, you should be able to leave, because we can all say what we want. They went to the school because of the coach. Now, does that make you mad? You could be sad, mad, peed on, peed off. That's a fact. That's why they go to the school for that. So if he leaves and you want to leave, if you want to stay, stay. If you want to leave, you leave. Other than that, sit out a year. Because, do you mind me being on the soapbox for a minute? If they transfer to 4 different schools, why are they transferring 4 times? Do this with me. Can you do that with me? Okay? That's why they're doing it. Can they graduate from the last school if they transferred 4 times? So when they're out of school and they're done playing, okay, if we care about kids, no college education, they go for a job, they're offered $55,000 to start, and what do they say? What? I was making $250. Do I have to go to work? Do you get me a car? Can I have an apartment? Okay. All I know is when you go from poor to having some money back to poor, now we're talking mental health issues. We got stuff where, look, it is fair and it is right. Transfer without penalty 1 time. If you want to transfer, I'm all for it. But you got to sit out, because we care enough about education. When you leave, you have a college degree. If it didn't work out for sports, you can work and do fine. The other thing, your own child, every time he faces adversity, do you want him to run or do you want him to dig in his heels and fight? Well, I'm not starting anymore. Well, then work harder than him. Go take it back. So I think 70% of our issues are transfers. That the policy we have right now. 70%. If we get that cleaned up, the rest of it, the money and all the other stuff will come in. It'll be different. But we got to get that fixed. And I'm just telling you, I'm not against transfers, but I just know this. If you're telling me it's good for a kid to transfer 4 times, be done playing, have no college degree, what did he learn? What did we teach as educators? Me. What did I teach? First time, just run. Go to the next one, try to do this, go to the next. And they could say, well, you leave when you want. I'd have to pay my way out. And I went 8 years at one school. I went 9 years at another school. I went 15 years at another school. And I'm here for 12 years, I think. There's no way I'll be here 12 years. But to say that, well, you just leave, no, it's not true. So that's my big thing right now. Let's get it fixed. You did all the worried about the money. Okay, it's done. Now let's fix what's really broken and get that back in check so that kids, if they want to leave, they got to think, do I want to sit down? I got to sit out a year. Will that other coach pay them if they're not playing? Maybe if he really wants them. Then pay him 2 years. So I transfer, he pays me 2, I only play 1. Okay. But I just think what's fair and what's right and what is right for the kid, well, they should just be able to go. Yeah, it's easy to say, but you're not in my seat dealing with kids and saying, if that kid transfers 4 times, I know I'll be getting a call from him when it's done, and I'll probably get a call every 4 months. I need help. Can you? I know what it is. And if you know me, what? Yeah, I'm going to help you, and I'm going to feel bad for you. And I told you, but you didn't listen. Now you're in this. How do we get you up and running now? Yes. Did I even answer what you were asking me?
You did, yes. This is a little bit of a two-parter. Kareem didn't practice today. Just any update on him? And then just from what you have seen from him, what has he brought and how much does his professional experience help you guys?
He is a perimeter 3-man. Could he play some 4? Yes, but he's not that physical. Shoots it pretty good. His back has been bothering him. So he's got 8 20-20s before he can start practicing, and we'll run 20-20s when we come back in September. So he'll have a lot of catching up to do, but he'll be fine.
I wanted to ask you your thoughts about Adu Thero going where he did, the Lakers trading twice, I guess, to move up. Part of the biggest trade ever in NBA history. But that landing spot for him and, your first hog to go into the NBA draft.
Yeah, if he was healthy, he'd have been a first-round pick. No question in my mind. I called him right after. I said, do you understand? I've done this before with guys where they slip, but they go to the right place. Keldon Johnson slipped. He should have been a lottery pick. He slips, but he goes to San Antonio? What? And I said, can you imagine with Adu? I said, Adu, you're with the Lakers. I don't care what pick, and they need you, and they traded to get you, which means they know they need you, and you're going to have an opportunity. Take advantage. That's all I said. You take advantage. So he's been blessed, and I'm telling you, what I've told all the teams that called me, because I knew he was injured, you guys and ladies, you watch the NBA stuff. Was it physical? It was hand-to-hand combat. So a guy like Adu, what if you're not a physical player and you're a young player and you're walking in that league? Well, your team, you may play on a team that wins 20 games, but you're not going to play in the playoffs. You can't physically do it. Adu can play in the playoffs because he physically can do it. He athletically can do it. and he's a heck of a finisher. So with those guys, be a great cutter, be a guy we can throw lobs to, fly up and down the court, guard multiple positions. I told some teams in the late 20s, you're going to regret not taking this kid, because if you're trying to say we want to be in the playoffs and we need one more piece, he may be your piece.
And that was